بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. Inshallah, today's talk we will talk about some of the post Battle of Badr events. We talked about until that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he sent some of the announcers to take the news about the victory of the Badr to Medina. And when the people in Medina received the victory news of the victory, that news came shortly after the passing away of the daughter of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ruqayya radiallahu anha, the wife of Uthman radiallahu anh, and he was excused from the Battle of Badr because of Ruqayya radiallahu anha's illness, and she passed away before even the news of the victory came to Medina. And after that, the issue of distribution of the ghanima came up, and the reason that it came up was when the battle was going on, and the enemies of Allah Azza wa Jal, they ran away, and so some of the Muslims were they went after the enemy, and while the others, they started collecting the spoils of war. And the third category was the one who was protecting Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So there were three different groups of Muslims now, and the ones who got the spoils of war, because there were not really any specific rulings regarding the spoils of war, they thought of it, they collected it, that's their right to keep it. But obviously the rest of them were also involved in the battlefield. Now the issue of ghanima came up, and when it was asked to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam regarding the spoils of war or the booty of war, Allah Azza wa Jal revealed some of the ayat from Surah Al-Anfal that says, "A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, yas'alunaka 'anil anfal, qul al-anfalu lillahi wa rasul, fattaqullah wa aslihu dhata bainakum wa ati'u Allah wa rasulahu in kuntum mu'minin." They ask you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, about the spoils of war. Say the spoils are for Allah and the Messenger. So fear Allah and adjust all matters of differences among you and obey Allah and His Messenger, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and if you are believers. So this is connected to the iman, and the way it is supposed to be distributed is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is referring to them that it belongs to Allah and His Messenger. And when it says belongs to Allah and His Messenger, here is referring to the state. Because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the head of the state there, and that belongs to him now to divide. And from other rulings, we know that 1/5 of it goes to the fighters, and that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sorry, not 1/5 goes to fighter. 1/5 goes to the Allah and His Messenger, and the rest of them is divided among the Muslimin. And even the one that goes to Allah and His Messenger, meaning to the state, that is at the end is distributed or used for the goodness of the ummah itself, for the citizens of the state. Okay, so when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Sahaba, they were returning back to Medina, and they reached the place called As-Safra. And at that point, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ordered that two of the prisoners of war, so there were some of the captives were along with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam from the Badr, and that as we talked about last week, there were about 70 or so, but among them, two of them were commanded to be executed. And those two were Al-Nadr bin Harith and Uqba bin Abi Mu'ayt. These two were famous for hurting Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Sahaba, and in general, they are the one who hurt Islam in general a lot, along with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Hurting means they were physically after the people who were Muslims, and they were torturing them, oppressing them, and using different means, even to the point that these are the very same two people who traveled back to Medina, and they wanted to talk and they went and they talked to the rabbis of the Yahud over there, and they want to know how to deal with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And if we recall that we talked about that when Sahaba, they made the hijrah to Habasha, that's around the same time. They went to the Medina and talked to the rabbis and asked them how to deal with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And they told them about, asked the three questions. Those three questions were in regards to Dhul Qarnayn, Ashabul Kahf, the companions of the cave, and about the ruh, which is the secret of the life or soul. And then the Surah Kahf was revealed, and part of the Surah Al-Isra, that responding to the questions they asked. But to cut it short, these were the two people who were using whatever means they could have used to stop the message of Allah Azza wa Jal to reach to the mankind. So Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam asked them to be executed because they were really the war criminals, if you want to call them, if you call them in today's terminology, that they were the war criminals. And so Nadar bin Harith was executed by Ali, and according to another report, so was Uqba bin Abi Mu'ayt. Both of them were executed by Ali radiallahu anh. And one report says there was another Sahabi who executed Uqba bin Abi Mu'ayt. When Uqba was going to be killed, right away he started saying to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Man lil sabiya, ya Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam," meaning who will take care of my children, O Muhammad? And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "An-nar," the fire, the hellfire. It's referring to him that he is going to the hellfire. And this is strange that he forgot about all the things that he did to hurt Islam and Rasulullah sallallahu and the Sahaba. And then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he reached to Medina, and when he reached to Medina, all the leaders from the Muslimin, besides the one, of course, referring to one who were in Medina, they came to meet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Usayd bin Hudayr radiallahu anh, as we know, he was one of the leaders of the Ansar, and he was not able to make it to Badr. And right away he came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he made sure that it is understood that he did not come to Badr because of not that he did not want to fight. Rather, he said that he assumed that, and that was the intention that was shown by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as if he was going for the caravan of Abu Sufyan, and it ended up in Ghazwa Badr. So Usayd wanted to make sure it is clear that if he would have known that there will be a battle or war, he would never been stayed back. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam assured Usayd bin Hudayr radiallahu anh that he believed in him what Usayd was saying. So now Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he entered into Medina, see, you have to understand the entry of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam now after the Ghazwat al-Badr is different than when he came as the one who came from Mecca to Medina, entered as a head of the state, because the difference here is now they have defeated an army which was 3 times or more than 3 times the army of the Muslims. And they defeated in a very clean and clean way, that there was a clear victory for the Muslims. And now he came back in Medina as a victorious head of the state. As I said, first time when he entered as from Mecca to Medina, it was more of a that he was looking for the support from the people of Medina to implement the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now that was already happening, and now he is a victorious head of the state. And because of that, there's a large number of people in Medina, they enter into folds of Islam. And this is why you see that the number of people who fought in Uhud was about 3 times the number who fought in, at least the one that started to go out to fight were about 1,000, and then it was reduced to 700 because Abdullah bin Abi Salul, he took away part of the army. But regardless, the number of the Muslims, the people who entered the fold of Islam, was big after the Badr. And that's the reality of, in general, we will see over the time, battle after battle Rasulullah ﷺ was having. And after every battle or the victory, you see that the number was expanding, and the strength of the Muslims were expanding as well. While in general people think of it as if you are going to war, that it's going to hurt your economy, hurt you in bad ways. But while in reality the contrary is, you can see that many of the superpowers today as well, they go out to many of the wars. It is to actually take care of of their economy. In the case of Islam, of course, we are not Muslims or Islam do not go out to fight for the sake of wealth and all those things. Rather, all these ghazawat that Rasulullah fought, the purpose was to remove all those obstacles that are becoming obstacle to the da'wah of Islam towards the mankind. And then after that, it is allowed to them to accept or reject the deen of Allah. Meaning the choice is to them. They can enter into fold of Islam, but if they don't want to enter into fold of Islam, that's fine. But it's Islam, the word of Allah Azza wa Jal has to be superior. And this is the thing that we even find this mentality today as well. That it has been pounded on the minds of the Muslims this way, that we think of Islam, or if enemy of Allah is hurting the ummah, stay away because this is going to hurt you in many ways. And shaitan actually is famous for these kind of tricks. Allah Azza wa Jal said in Surah Baqarah, "Ash-shaytanu ya'idukum al-faqr wa ya'murukum bil-fahsha wallahu ya'idukum maghfiratan minhu wa fadlan wallahu wasi'un alim." Shaitan, he threatens you by poverty, and he commands you to do the fahsha, which is the immorality. Wallahu ya'idukum maghfirah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he promises the maghfirah, the forgiveness from him, wa fadla, and the bounties. Wallahu wasi'un alim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all encompassing and all knowing. So that's the side issue to understand, that when we see these the results of the battles, we see that always the strength of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam continue to increase, and that's the result of it, that today Islam, we can find it all across the world. Okay, so now Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam made sure that the prisoners of wars were well taken care of. And he commanded them to take care of the captives well. And what we see is this, the way the Muslims were taking care of those captives was interesting, that they were making sure that the captives were getting better food than themselves. And as one of the reports talk about that, they would rather give the captives the bread. Of course, as they had simple food at that time, they would give them bread, which was more valued part of the meal for them at that time than just to have dates. So they were just eating dates and sufficing for themselves. But when it came to the POWs, the prisoners of wars, they took care of them in a way that they are well fed. Okay, then when the battle ended, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam began to tell the captives, looked into while he was talking to them, he looked at the face of Sa'ad bin Mu'adh. He was one of the leaders of the Ansar, and he was the head of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's guards. And he did not like to keep those captives or the prisoner of wars, because his understanding was it is not the right thing to keep these prisoners, especially in the first victory Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had. He was of the opinion that we should not have kept the captive. They should have been just taken care of, meaning they should have been killed. Now, this idea of what to do with them, that's a kind of an interesting thing, that Rasulullah started consulting what should be done with the captives of wars, because there was an opinion, because there was a hukm in Islam that allowed both ways in the beginning, at least. So Rasulullah asked Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anh, and Umar bin Khattab as well. So as we know, the Sa'ad bin Mu'adh's opinion was very clear. And Abu Bakr's opinion was, first I'll give the opinion of, actually Abu Bakr's opinion was, after all, they are our own family members and relatives. We should just free them in return of some money taken from them. This way, Muslims will get some strength from the economic perspective. And you never know, these very same people, they will enter into fold of Islam. While Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu's opinion was not much different than Sa'ad bin Mu'adh, and his opinion was that they are the leaders of the kufr, so they should be killed as well. Now Rasulullah preferred the opinion of Abu Bakr, meaning he went along with Abu Bakr's opinion. So that this is, again, at that time it was more of a shura, if you want to call it, and shura in the case of both the ways were allowed in Islam, to take the ransom or not to take the ransom at that time. So specifically talking about the Badr. So Allah went along with that one, but so this opinion was accepted by Rasulullah. And next day, when Umar was called upon to Rasulullah, and he came and he saw that Rasulullah sallallahu and Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anh, they were weeping. So Umar was surprised what's going on, and his inquiry to them was like this: tell me what you are crying for, so I'll cry with you. And if I could not, I'll at least fake crying with you, but I'll do the same thing what Rasulullah himself was doing. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually revealed these ayat that says ما كان لنبي أن يكون له أسرى حتى يثخن في الأرض تريدون عرض الدنيا والله يريد الآخرة والله عزيز حكيم. It is not for a prophet that he should have prisoners of war and free them with ransom until he made a great slaughter among his enemies in the land. You desire the good of this world, i.e., the money of ransom for freeing the captives, but Allah desires for you the hereafter. And Allah is Almighty, all wise. And then the ayah continues on: لولا كتاب من الله سبق لمساكم فيما أخذتم عذاب عظيم. What it is not a previous order command from Allah, a severe torment would have touched you for what you took. Meaning, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually it's just reminding them that Allah would have punished you. The reason that the punishment is not descending on you for this choice that you made, because this was also Allah Azza wa Jal who gave that choice to begin with, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Muhammad, فَإِمَّا مَنَّ بَعْدُ وَإِمَّا فِدَاءً حَتَّى تَدَعَ الْحَرْبُ أَوْزَارَهَا. That thereafter is a time either for generosity, free with them without ransom, or ransom. So there was a mubah, that was a permissible act either way. And Rasulullah chose the one with the ransom, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that from that you are after the dunya. But because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed that, so there was no punishment or anything on the Muslims for choosing this action. Okay. Okay, well, when it comes to the ransom for the prisoners, it was in general from 1,000 dinar to 4,000 dirham to 4,000 dirham, as reported by Ibn Hisham in his Seerah. And that was according to the financial situation of that captive. If he was poor, he could not even pay anything, and he was literate, then the idea was that he would teach how to read and write to 10 children, and once they are able to read and write, then he would have been freed. So that was another way of getting yourself freed. And that shows the importance of education in Islam as well, that how to read and write was such an important thing. Then there were people who were freed because of they could not do any of those things that Rasulullah says out of his generosity, and let them go. Among them, there were actually quite a few interesting incidents about the people who were captives of war. Among them, one was Suhail bin Amr. And Suhail bin Amr was, he is the person, as we know, as we'll see later on in Sulh Hudaybiyah, he's the one who came to negotiate with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when he came, Umar bin Khattab radiallahu an, he wanted to go and break his teeth. The reason was he was very eloquent, and he wanted to break his teeth, and the words of Umar bin Khattab were like this, that he wanted to break his front teeth so his tongue will hang out, and then he will not be able to say things against Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him that don't do that, because there will be a gathering in which he will say certain good words that you will like. And that happened in the future, as we will see later on, inshallah, that how the words that came out of Suhail bin Amr, they were beneficial for Islam. That came when after Rasulullah passed away, and the Mecca, most of the people outside of Mecca, they were actually leaving Islam, and he is the one who was able to keep the Muslims intact. And this is what he was referring to as one of the reports talk about that. Other person was Amr bin Abi Sufyan. He was the son of Abu Sufyan, and he was taken captive by Ali radiallahu an. Um, and besides that, the story of Abu al-As bin Rabi'a, he was the son-in-law of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he was a good, honest person, but he stuck with he did not accept Islam, and he came and he became one of the captives. Now he was already separated from Zainab, radiallahu anha, the daughter of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but she was still in Mecca. She was still in Mecca, but she was separated from him because of the rulings regarding the marriage came out that it is not allowed to marry a mushrik for a woman. Now, for a woman or man, it's not allowed to marry a mushrik. So when this happened, Zainab radiallahu anha, the daughter of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she sent one of the necklaces that she had to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a ransom to free up Abu al-As, Abu al-As bin Rabi'a. And when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw that necklace, it reminded him of Khadija radiallahu anha, the wife of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the mother of Zainab radiallahu anha. And Rasulullah the tears start coming out of his eyes, and Rasulullah sallallahu asked the Sahaba if it is okay with them, then we would return this necklace. And Sahaba agreed, and Rasulullah returned that back. And he took the vow from Abu al-As bin Rabi' that he would be set free, but with this condition that when he reaches Mecca, he would send the daughter of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam back to Medina. And Abu al-As, he accepted that, and when he reached to Mecca, he asked his brother. Rasulullah actually said that there's a specific place where Zayd bin Harith and another Sahabi will come and pick Zainab up from there. But of course, he had to take Abu al-As had to bring Zainab to us, that point of meeting. And when he reached to Mecca, he sent his brother Kinana bin Rabi' to take Zainab radiallahu anha to the specific place of meeting. And when she was preparing to leave, Hind bin Utbah, she came to Zainab and she asked, what is she up to? Is she going back to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And she refused to answer this question. And Hind was continuously investigating, and she was saying, "Oh my, like bint ammi, the daughter of my uncle, tell me the truth. Where you're going? Where are you traveling?" And she even said, "The men are fighting. Let them fight. There's nothing between the women. We should take care of each other." But Zainab radiallahu anha, she was smart enough, and she did not trust Hind, and she did not mention what was she up to. But when she left with Kinana, and on the way, Kinana, he's the brother of Abu al-As, the older brother of Abu al-As, and when he went there, there was a person named Hubab bin Aswad and some other kuffar. They came and they wanted to stop while they were at the place called Zita. And he had Hubar had the arrow, and one of the reports talk about that he hit Zainab also, and because of that she was she was pregnant at that time, and she was there was a miscarriage that happened to Zainab. Now Kinana got angry when he saw what was happening, and he had the arrow in his hand, and he said he told them that anybody who come forward, he will kill them. Now Abu Sufyan, he came with some of the leaders of the Quraysh, and they said, okay, let's put this fighting on the side, let's talk. And so Kinana asked him, what does he want to talk about? Abu Sufyan said, look, you are taking the daughter of Rasulullah in front of everybody, and you know what happened in Badr. Meaning there was a great loss happened to the Quraysh, and that will show them show them their weakness, that the daughter of Rasulullah went out in front of everybody after killing so many of their leaders in Badr. That would be an insult for the Quraysh. So if you really want to do that, let this cool down, and then after a few days, when everything is cooled down, you can sneak out of the Mecca. We don't care. Abu Sufyan thing was, we don't care if the woman goes leaves from Mecca to Medina. It doesn't really matter to us. And this is what they did after the things calmed down. Then he took Zainab, and he dropped her off where they were supposed to meet Zayd bin Haritha and the other Sahabi of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And this is how she was able to go back. Now, later on, Abu al-As, when he was doing the trade, the same person, the husband of Zainab, they were separated because, as I said, because of the ahkam that revealed. And Abu al-As, he was famous for his honesty, and people used to trust to give his belongings, so to go and sell and do the trade for them. And when he was coming back, his actually one of the battles happened, and the Muslims were able to take all the belongings of Abu al-As. And Abu al-As, he ran away, and he ran away in a manner that he went and he took the kind of, I call it, asylum in the house of Zainab radiallahu anha, the daughter of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was his wife. And then at the time of the Fajr, when Rasulullah sallallahu started praying, Zainab said from the behind rows, from the women's side, that she has given the protection to Abu al-As. And after Salah was over, Rasulullah asked the Sahaba, "Did you hear what I heard?" And they said yes. And he said very clearly that he was not aware of anything about this, that Abu al-As was there. And he said, basically trying to show that the protection of one Muslim, no matter who it is the protection from all the Muslims. And Abu al-As was given the protection. And Rasulullah asked the Sahaba, if it is okay with you, you can return his belongings. If you don't want, that's fine too. But the Sahaba returned everything. And Abu al-As, he took everything back to Mecca. And when he reached there, he returned everything to the people, and then he announced his Islam, and he said, "Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh." And he said that after returning everybody's goods, and he said, "Wallahi, that I did not accept Islam while he was in the presence of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that people might have thought that he was accepting Islam so he could keep all the goods of those people and did not have to return those goods of the people. Rather, he wanted to make sure people understand that he's not entering into folds of Islam for wealth. Rather, he was entering into folds of Islam because he found it as the haqq." And he became Muslim, and he went back to Medina after returning all the goods. And when he went back, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam kept that aqd of the nikah of Zainab and Abu al-As, meaning they kept the same marriage that they had before he became a Muslim. And there are ahkamat that was extracted from this specific acceptance of Islam after you, for example, if there are two people who are non-Muslims, and one of them, or there are two people who are mushrik, and one of them become Muslim. So what is the ruling? Does that mean that that marriage can continue on? Of course, that cannot continue on. But if the other person also enters into folds of Islam, then that same marriage continues on. Okay, so that was about Abu al-As. And how are we with the time here today? Okay, I think it's about 30 minutes. Okay, so and there were some other captives of wars also that included I think we should cover the rest of it in the next week, because we talked about that this talk on Saturday, we would like to keep it at half an hour. So, okay, so we'll stop here as far as today's talk goes. If there is any questions or comments are there for today's talk, inshallah, I'll try to answer them. Seems like no questions.
There's one I just pasted on the.
There is one?
Yeah, I just pasted on the chat.
Okay, I have to figure out how to get there now. Okay, some reason I cannot see it.
So,
okay, I got it.
got it. Okay.
Imprisonment is not allowed in Islam. It seems like a more of a statement than a question, but is imprisonment allowed in Islam? Probably that's the question. This is more of a ta'zir kind of a thing. It's not that imprisonment is not allowed. When I say ta'zir, there are two kind of ruling. One is called had, and another one is called ta'zir. The had is for which there's a ruling from the Quran and Sunnah very clearly about a specific crime. But when it comes to other kind of the laws have been broken in a state where Islam is implemented, over there, then the Khalifa or Amir al-Mu'mineen, he will decide what the punishment can be. And in some cases, imprisonment can be a punishment. But look, remember one thing though, all this when we talk about imprisonment and all those things, it happens after the conviction of a person, not based on just a person has been not the word convicted, what is it? If somebody accused of him something, just based on accusation, you don't punish somebody. Punishment starts with the conviction. So there can be imprisonment if a state thinks of that way. It cannot be said that there is imprisonment cannot be. Imprisonment can be one of the ways of punishments. Okay. Any questions or comments?
Nothing else.
Okay, if there is nothing, then we'll stop here, inshallah. جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله. جزاكم الله خيرا. See you inshallah.
Inshallah.